welcome back to the Lone Wolf Saga. Played via Kai Chronicles, available online. We are at book 10, 11. Hello, Amaro. How's this going? Book 11, I see. Yeah. Book 11. So we're like a third of the way through the whole series. It's going well, although the last few books have been a bit on the unreasonably difficult side. Like, okay, the last book wasn't too bad, but I think it was like 8 or 9, which were like, even when I figured out the optimal route, like I had explored every page in the book and I had cheated and given myself max combat skill and max endurance every run. Even with all that, it took me a billion retries to actually get through the final boss. So they were a bit unreasonable in that respect, but I got through them. The last book wasn't actually too bad. It was a bit difficult, but it was alright. Hello, Wugga. So yeah, book 11. They're getting tough, and I hope I hope they're not going to get tougher than that. Like, it would be nice if they would return to form of the original 5 or 6 books, because I thought the difficulty was just perfect for those. But anyway, we'll find out. Like, to some extent, they're kind of assuming you managed to survive with loads and loads of skills and equipment from past books, but that's not a reasonable assumption at all, because even with all that stuff, you can die easily. So, I mean, there were pages where you literally had to roll a dice and 0 to 3. Well, 0 to 9 dice, and if it was 0 to 3, you die. Full stop. Like, there were pages like that, so... Alright, the story so far. You are the warrior, Lone Wolf, last of the Kai Masters of Summerland, and sole survivor of the massacre that destroyed your kinsmen during a bitter war with your age-old enemies, the Dark Lords of Helgadad. Okay, this paragraph we've read every time, so I'll just skip this paragraph. Skip this paragraph because they've said this every time. And they've said this every time. I mean, they're basically adding to this every time, so let's try and find where we actually got to. Yeah, we did all that, So this is what happened. Right. Alright, we've got this is basically describing what happened in the last book. Your defeat of Zakan Kimar turned the tide of war decisively against the Darkland armies and paved the way for the liberation of the lands they had taken by force. But the sweet taste of victory turned sour when you discovered that Dark Lord Gnarg had captured the last 3 remaining Lawstones of Nixator and had vowed to avenge his defeat by destroying them and killing you. Alarmed by this, the High Council of the Elder Magi joined you in Tahu to help formulate a plan of action. They had already received word from Prince Gregor, the ruler of Eru, that 3 radiant gems filled with golden light had been transported to the fortress of Torgar from the Dark Lord's city of Mosgoa. Unable to tolerate the goodly power of the Lawstones, within his own domain, Gnarg had been forced to move them to Torgar, where his sorcerers, the Nadziranim, set about searching for a means to destroy them. Fearing that they might achieve their task, the Elder Magi made preparations for your secret journey to Eru, and in order to safeguard your true identity, you adopted the guise of a Pathfinder, one of Prince Gregor's elite woodland scouts. After a long and perilous journey, you arrived at Torgar to find it besieged by the armies of Telestria and Palmyrion. During the early months of the Dark Lord invasion, hundreds of Telestrians were enslaved and sent to labor in the dungeons and sulfur mines deep within the bowels of this grim city fortress. Their plight seemed hopeless until the allied armies under the command of Lord Adamas of Garthan finally arrived to liberate them. Due in part to your bravery and skill during the assault, Lord Adamas' troops were able to breach the Great Torgar Gate and storm its citadel. During this fierce battle, you gained entry to the chamber at the heart of the citadel where the Naziranim were attempting to destroy the Lawstones. They were hung above a circular black pit and suspended in a fireball of negative energy, the focal point of several beams of power emanating from crystals set around the edge of the pit. By means of a gantry, you were able to climb above these energy beams and retrieve one of the Lawstones. But as you reached out for the remaining two, a terrible voice filled the chamber. Vengeance is mine, Lone Wolf. Terror struck deep in your heart as you turned and saw the ghastly form of Dark Lord Knag. A rasping laugh echoed from his fly-like head. Fly-like? Okay. As he raised a black crystal and pointed it at the gantry. The vow I gave at Tahu shall be fulfilled. Now I shall destroy you and the Lawstones, he gloated. There was a deafening crack and a bolt of blue lightning leapt from the stone towards the rusty iron gantry. As the shockwave hit the fireball, the two remaining Lawstones were sent tumbling into the black abyss. The second bolt ripped the gantry in two, and with the ghastly laugh of Dark Lord Gnarg ringing in your ears, you fell headlong into a portal of total darkness, a shadow gate which leads to the twilight world of the Azian Plain. Interesting. So we are not on the map right now. We are in a different plane of existence. This is the map, by the way. I think we went to... Where did we go? I think... I mean, we were at Tahu... But no, not Tahu last time. Telestria, right? Yes. So last book, we were in Garthen, and then we kind of trekked up here, and then... No. That was a previous book. I don't remember. Wherever we were, we've now somehow ended up in a different plane of existence, so... Let's... Alright, so we've already got our stats. So, by the way, I'm semi-cheating. I'm choosing the max stats every book, but it's not really cheating. In theory, you could just restart over and over again until you get the stats you want, just like in Baldur's Gate, which you literally do that in the Baldur's Gate games. So I'm just playing it that way, except I'm not doing the rerolls. I'm just giving myself the max stats. Alright, so we keep weapon mastery, so we can choose another weapon. Dagger turns out to be quite useful, because daggers come up a lot. So we've chosen dagger, sword, and bow. I don't know. Axe. Or maybe a blunt weapon? Mace or something? Doesn't really matter. It was just whatever comes up. Let's go with Warhammer. Alright, so we've got Curing, we've got Hunt Mastery. Right, the usual thing I do is try to complete these circles. So I've already completed that one, which gets me a +1. So I could push for this one. In the hopes that next book I'll be able to complete this one. So if I want to do that, we either pick Invisibility or Pathmanship. I think Pathmanship comes up more often. Yeah. Alright. Go with Pathmanship. So Pathmanship just helps you find your way around. I mean, it's going to be a bit strange in this plane because we probably don't even understand the language. Or, well, no, they might have symbols and languages that we can decipher, so... It also grants him the gift of always knowing intuitively the position of north. Does north even... Does the magnetic field even exist here? Alright, so we keep... Oh, we didn't have a... We lost our weapon. Disintegrated or something. We got a bow. And we got a rope. These potions, which are very useful. A blanket. And lots of arrows. That's good. Alright, so we can take... So the footnotes say we can't use the monastery, which is where you store your weapons, which I haven't really bothered to use because it's assuming you survive lots of books in a row. Like, otherwise... Because if you die, everything that's in the monastery disappears anyway, so... Alright, take... Where are the... Hang on. Where's the button for rolling my money? Oh, it says pass over this section, so you don't actually choose new stuff. Okay, fine. That means we don't start with a melee weapon. That could be a problem. Like, in some ways it would be better if we started fresh. Okay, well, anyway. Follow the rules. Yeah, okay. So we're now a primate. So a primate means we get an upgraded curing. Means we can delay poisons, which was useful one time. An upgraded hunt mastery, which means we don't really need ropes to climb sometimes. Right. Oh, bollocks. Look at this footnote. Due to several unavoidable difficult combats in this book, it is practically impossible for a new or average character to complete this adventure successfully. Even a character with optimal choices of equipment and disciplines and the highest possible scores for combat skill and endurance will have a difficult time with this adventure. What? It doesn't suggest a workaround. Oh, they don't seem to have programmed a workaround into this, like an option to give ourselves bonus stuff. The only thing I could do really is edit the JSON file if I have to, which, I mean, given that they've given this warning, I would not be opposed to doing that to give myself something a bit fairer, but guess we'll try it anyway, but that's ridiculous. I don't know whether it's going to get harder or easier in the next groups of books. Like, I would hope that, you know, after publishing and selling these books and getting feedback from players, that he might have, like, made it more realistic in the coming books, but I don't know. Fine, we'll just play it as is for now. And we'll try and figure out a workaround. If it's just ridiculous. All sense of time and space is lost as you plunge headlong into the whirling black throat of the abyss. Only a numbing chill and a mournful sound, like a million voices crying in despair, accompany you on your descent into the unknown. Gradually your mind is filled with fearful visions, nightmare shapes that reach out of the darkness to claw and bite and scream at your passing. I think we need some different music for this. They grow in menace until they are swiftly dispelled by diamond-shaped motes of light which streak past at incredible speeds. The tiny lights engulf you in a cone of fiery brilliance, and a metallic smell of ozone, sharp and pungent, assails your nostrils. A sensation of warmth surges through your frozen limbs. Then, an instant later, you strike solid ground with such a suddenness that you are left stunned and panting for breath. We lose 6 endurance points. Great. With dread anticipation, you stagger to your feet to survey your new surroundings. A bleak and desolate plateau, seemingly devoid of life, stretches into the distance on all sides. Jagged boulders litter a desert of crimson sand, which is stirred to restless motion by fierce and scorching winds. Neither sun nor moon hang in the amber skies above, yet their absence does not leave this world in darkness, for all along the horizon blazes a fire which glows brighter than 1,000 sunsets. You stare across this alien landscape, and a feeling of helplessness grips your senses as you realize where you have emerged. This is the twilight world of the Dazian Plain. A knot of fear tightens in your stomach as you recall what little you have heard about this world. The magicians of Summerland believe it to be an astral corridor that connects Magnamund with other planes of existence. So by passing through a shadow gate, one of which is situated below the guild hall in Toran, a person can gain entry to the Dazian. However, those who have passed through the shadow gate in Toran have never been seen again, and the magicians believe that the journey can be made in only one direction. They say there is no escape from the Dazian. Your vow to restore the Kai and your stubborn will to survive against all odds refuse to let you believe that there is no way back to your homeworld. You cast aside your fear and steel yourself for the task of finding a means of escaping from this desolate place. But firstly, you must recover the 2 lore stones that fell into the Shadow Gate shortly before you. Oh, we don't have this. The torrid winds sweep across the landscape with increasing ferocity, forcing you to protect your eyes from the gusts of sharp, stinging sand. The need to find cover takes priority when you sense that the winds are merely the prelude to a storm. To remain here in the open could prove a fatal mistake. Peering through your fingers, you try to find somewhere to take shelter. To your left, in the middle distance, you can see what appears to be a mound of volcanic stone slabs. To your right, but further away, you notice a shallow gully running lee to the wind. Well, we should probably go for the gully. We need a better long-term option, I imagine. The wind tears at your clothing as you fight your way slowly towards the distant gully. Your feet sink deep into the hot, shifting sands, transforming the simple act of walking into a hard and painful exertion. After what seems like an eternity, you finally near your goal. You drop to your knees and crawl the few remaining yards towards the shelter of the shallow, rock-strewn trench. Gasping for breath, you bury your head inside your tunic to avoid inhaling a lungful of the sand-choked air, and gradually your pulse steadies and your strength returns. You wait for the storm to subside, but, as if in defiance of your wish, the winds grow ever stronger, whipping the sands into huge cyclones which suck countless tons of debris into their deadly spinning cores. Fear returns to freeze your heart when the shadow of a raging whirlwind falls across the gully. In blind desperation, you crawl towards a narrow fissure at the far end of the trench, praying that it is the entrance to a cave. This time your prayers are answered. The fissure marks the beginning of a shaft that descends deep into the volcanic rock, but as you draw closer, your hopes for a safe shelter are dampened by a gruesome sight. Thrown around the entrance to the fissure are the bleached and shattered bones of what was once a formidable creature. Nervously, you reach for a weapon, which we don't carry. Okay, we have a bow, I guess. As you approach the narrow gap and peer into its lightless depths, a strange smell, sweet and unwholesome, wafts out of the inky blackness and stops you dead in your tracks. but the deafening roar of the approaching tornado makes you swallow your fear and enter. Cautiously, you descend into the dark, your weapon held poised to counter a sudden attack. Whatever happened to our lantern? We had one, didn't we? Oh, we discarded it for some reason. We had to throw away an item. So a tornado is approaching and we can't see. And if we brought... like, it would probably put out the torch, or... I don't know about lantern or fire sphere. I don't know, we'll just stay where we are. The noise of the approaching whirlwinds grows steadily louder, and the ground shudders violently beneath your feet. A great blast of dust and debris is sucked from the depths of the fissure. It catches you full in the chest and knocks you off balance, causing you to fall and gash your head. Blinded by the sudden pain, you are now unable to resist the full force of the whirlwind, raging directly above the gully, and are drawn up into the vortex never to be seen again. Your life and quest end here on the Zanim Plateau of the Dazian Plain. Great! That is death number 111. Now we start off even worse. Although at least we get a weapon. Have to start the game fresh this time. We've only got this book and one more book to go before we're at the Grandmaster. Just like a different chapter. Okay, so just take max skill. They said even with max skill, it's going to be a challenge. Great. All right. So take weapon master with bow, dagger, sword, I guess. Curing. Always take curing, and guess we'll take hunt mastery. Like, they said there'll be lots of combat, and if you want to max your combat out, it's best to go with hunt mastery. Alright, so we can take... let's get some money. I don't know what we're going to use money for in this demonic plane, but... we get 2 meals. Not much use. And we get to pick 6 items. Alright. So I'll take a bow and a quiver. A lantern. Sword. A potion and a rope. And a couple of meals, why not? Okay. Alright, let's do that again. Minus 9 endurance points, wonderful. Alright, and then we go here, we have to go here. Alright, so the choice we made here was to go in the gully. I still think that's probably the better options. We'll do that. Then we get here. This time we have a lantern, so we'll use the lantern. Your light washes over the rough red walls and illuminates a narrow corridor formed by a violent rending of the land. Warily you descend, taking care to avoid the deep potholes which riddle the uneven floor, and at length you emerge into a cramped, airless cavern. At that moment, a cacophony of noise surges along the fissure, and the floor shudders and heaves beneath your feet. Then a great blast of dust and debris knocks you off balance as it is sucked out of the cavern by the whirlwind, now raging directly above. The turmoil soon subsides, but as you drag yourself to your feet, you notice that you are not alone. A low, croaking growl issues from the far side of the cavern, and suddenly two slits appear, from which a baleful orange light radiates. With bated breath, you watch a shape emerge from the shadows, a long, scaly form with short legs and a lizard-like head. The outline of its body, perfectly camouflaged against the red volcanic rock, pulses like a heartbeat as it awakens from its slumber. It swivels its horny head and fixes you with an alien gaze, its snake-like eyes glittering with malice. We don't have animal control. The lizard beast yawns, exposing a wickedly curved beak and a jaw set with dagger-sharp fangs. It snickers evilly, relishing the thought of killing and devouring you at its leisure. Sure, let's use the bow. Swiftly, you draw an arrow and take aim at one of the creature's eyes, but instinctively it senses danger and twists its head furiously from side to side to spoil your shot. Alright, we got a lucky shot. Your arrow tears into its eye. Oh, we should probably have, Oh, it's dead. Splitting it open like a burst egg. It ends its flight buried deeply in the creature's brain, bringing death in an instant and sparing the beast the agony of its terrible wound. Slowly, the slain Khozinda falls to the cavern floor, its broad tails twitching spasmodically. When finally it comes to rest, you approach the carcass and examine more closely this creature of the Dazian. Although the shape of its body appears reptilian, its scales are quite unlike those of any lizard you have seen before. They are thin, yet incredibly hard, and seem to be formed from a substance more akin to glass than skin or bone. You ponder the origins of this curious beast until eventually the fatigue of your ordeal catches up with you. Unable to resist any longer, you close your eyes and drift into a deep and dreamless sleep. Well, that's worrying. Just fallen asleep for no reason. Right. You wake with a start, stirred to consciousness by the distant flap of large wings beating in a windless sky. The sounds grow louder, and quickly you gather up your equipment and hurry out of the cavern to investigate their source. The storm died down while you slept, and the plateau is now becalmed. From the rim of the gully, you can see 6 black shapes silhouetted on the blazing horizon. They resemble dragons with snaky necks and ragged, bat-like wings. Upon their backs they carry gold-skinned creatures, human in appearance save for their lack of hair and their massive size. The leader sees you. He banks his dragon mount towards the gully, and the others follow closely in his wake. You fear they are about to attack, but at the last moment they veer away and circle the gully before landing nearby. With practiced ease, the leader and 2 of his brothers dismount from their winged steeds. They each dwarf you by an arm's length, and although their heavy muscular bodies seem incapable of stealth, they approach like lions stalking their prey. Zhu Klo Kanra, speaks the leader, his voice deep and resonant. Ilian Nurna, says another, impatiently. We do have pathmanship, but... Oh, no, we didn't pick pathmanship. But we're nowhere near that rank anyway, that's ridiculous. Nope. The beings scowl with disdain when you offer no reply. Their leader draws a silver rod from inside his Khozinda scale vest, levels it menacingly at your chest, and slowly repeats the words he has spoken. They're not gonna recognize, like, a gesture of surrender. Like, that's a cultural thing. Prepare for battle! Your fighting spirit seems to find favor with the leader. He is clearly impressed by your display of courage in the face of overwhelming odds, and regards you with a new look of respect. The kind a warrior shows for an enemy he considers his equal. He sheathes his silver rod and calls one of his followers to step forward. With a nod of his head, he commands him to fight you, and the golden-skinned giant obeys eagerly. We use the bow. In the blink of an eye, you load and fire your bow, sending an arrow spinning towards the giant's muscular chest. The tip bores into his golden flesh, but it strikes a rib and is deflected. Maddened by the sudden pain, the giant bellows a rumbling war cry and lurches forward, intent on rending you limb from limb. -7. Alright. Oh no. Dead. Okay. Is that even avoidable, like that fight? Because that's like against the odds, but only slightly. Like, we can win that. He's immune to Mind Blast, so Hunt Mastery is really the best option there. Alright. Well, the bow is proving to be useful, but... Alright, so... Take the sword, the bow, the quiver, the rope, the potion, the lantern, and... the meals. Alright, so should we try taking shelter behind the stones this time? We'll do that. With plodding steps, you set off towards the rocky cairn. Your feet sink ankle deep into the hot red sand, and you can only maintain balance by leaning heavily into the wind. Walking soon becomes an ordeal, and by the time you reach shelter, you are near to exhaustion. Breathless and weary, you crouch beside the mound and pray that the storm will soon subside. Then it occurs to you that the cairn is not a natural structure. The rocks have been stacked symmetrically, one upon the other, by someone or something who wished to leave their mark upon this wilderness. Is it like that, like, Instagram trend that people do where they go to national parks and they stack rocks, which is not allowed? You're not supposed to do that because it's basically damaging the environment. Apparently they do that even in the demonic plane. You examine the slabs more closely and discover one that is quite unlike the others. Its rectangular edges are even, and its surface is mirror smooth. Inscribed upon this slab are curious spidery markings. Much of the porous rock that surrounds the slab has been eroded by wind and sand. Holes have appeared through which you can see into the cairn. It is hollow. Curiosity and the need for better shelter prompt you to try to dislodge the slab, and after much effort you pull it free, leaving an opening the size of a trapdoor in the side of the mound. Inside the gloomy interior you discover a large, metallic statue lying horizontally on a bed of clear, crystalline sand. You try to perceive some detail, but the shape is shrouded in near darkness. Alright, we'll use the lantern. The statue is wrapped in a thin, silvery blanket of metal, its crumpled surface reflecting a glittering mosaic of light upon the rough rock walls. Carefully you peel away the metal sheeting to discover that the statue is no more than a tangle of mouldering bones, the remains of a creature long deceased. Judging by the size of the skeleton, this creature must have stood almost 9 feet tall. What little it once wore has long since crumbled to dust, but lying beside the ribcage you discover a rod of silver that gleams as if it were new. Sure, we'll take the silver rod. Outside, the wind howls like a horde of demons. It whips the sand into whirling cyclones that perform an erratic dance of destruction upon the plateau. You watch this awesome spectacle until the fatigue of your ordeal finally catches up with you. Well, we're here again. And then... Oh no, this is different. Alright, I shouldn't have skipped that last page. I thought it was these guys again. Alright, well, we woke up. From what I skim read, we woke up and we saw a bunch of flying creatures, and they landed and tried to speak to us. And we do possess a silver rod. Alright, the golden-skinned giants scowl with disdain when you offer no reply. Their leader draws a silver rod from his lizard scale vest, levels it menacingly at your chest, and slowly repeats the words he has spoken. We do have a silver rod. You tug the silver rod from your belt and hold it before you. A look of surprise widens the leader's eyes, but his shock soon turns to anger when he realizes where you obtained the silvery wand. He bellows his contempt for your act of grave robbery, and in a fit of rage, he releases from his rod a charge of raw power. Do we have the Law Circle of Fire? Yes. So that makes it almost... that makes it like 90% off surviving, I think. Probably. As the power bolt lances towards your chest, you lash out and catch it with a glancing blow with your silver rod. There is a blinding splash of color, and a fierce pain shoots up your arm, forcing you to drop the red-hot remains of the rod and snatch your blistered hand to your mouth. The leader gives a low, guttural laugh and steps closer to the cairn, but he is stopped in his tracks when you leap from the rocky mound and prepare to defend yourself. Oh. And then we're here. Alright, well, use the bow, I guess. So we fight him anyway. Fuck. We've got to find a way to avoid this combat. We're never going to get anywhere. Dead. So we can get the silver rod, but it doesn't seem to help. Like, we could try not showing it. Did they give us that option? Alright, so we take Weapon Mastery... Curing, Hunt Mastery. And then we want to take all these things. Alright, so it looks like taking shelter behind the stones is a decent option here. So we use the lantern. So we get the rod. And then... Oh, we don't have the option to... So if we show him the silver rod... He just blasts us. Can we just throw it on the floor? Will it let us do that? Okay, we don't have the rod. Haha. Just drop it behind us. Yokai senses warn that you are in mortal danger. These beings suspect that you are a grave robber come to loot the tomb of one of their ancestors. Unless you can persuade them otherwise, they will not hesitate to kill you. Raise our hands in surrender? Like, they're not going to recognize that. Come on, let's just do it. Your silent surrender seems to anger the leader. It is as if you were in some way insulting his honor by refusing to answer him or take up a weapon in defense of your life. He bellows his contempt, and in a fit of rage, releases from his silver rod a charge of raw power that lances through your chest. Death is instantaneous. Oh dear. I think if we actually get past this battle, we're gonna have to save scum, like make a checkpoint save afterwards. Like otherwise it's just silly. We'll see if there's a way around this battle though. There might be. And they did warn us that this book is, they said, near impossible. Just alright, take curing, mastery. Like, did the author even play his own book by the rules and win it? Alright, so let's just try the different options. So I don't know, let's just not use the lantern this time. So then we just skip that altogether. So if you do have the silver rod, all that happens is they destroy it and they shoot you and they get angry and you just get hurt for like 3 health. Not that much, but there's no point having... So just don't have the silver rod. Don't pick up the silver rod. We could take divination. Let's see. If we don't use the bow, will that make the combat easier? Maybe he won't be in a rage. Oh, it's the same. He just has more HP. The giant approaches, stern-faced and resolute, his huge hands poised to grab you and tear you limb from limb. Quickly you unsheath the hand weapon and prepare to receive his attack. Dead. I think we're just going to have to save scum each combat. So if I actually make it through, I have to make a hard save. Like, I'm choosing the optimal stuff here for that battle. Well, we could take what was it? Divination, but then we'll be sacrificing combat skill, and you're gonna need it later on, no doubt. No, we've got to take weapon mastery and always take... Curing is the most important one, for sure. And weapon mastery is also essential. You can't not take it at this point. So when it comes to choosing one more, either we take hunt mastery, and that basically gets us +1 combat skill. Or we can take divination, which might be able to bypass that one fight, but I don't think it's gonna hold up for the rest of the book, so we'll take hunt mastery. Alright, should go back to the gully. And so we can use the lantern. If we stay where we are, we die. If we take the lantern, then we end up in that fight. Let's try this option then. The uneven floor is riddled with deep potholes which impede your progress. Unless you have completed the Law Circle of Solaris, you must deduct endurance points due to injuries sustained to your legs. At length, the narrow fissure widens, and as your eyes become accustomed to the gloom, you're able to detect that a small cavern lies ahead. Just at this moment, a rumbling cacophony surges along the fissure, and the floor shudders and heaves beneath your feet. Then a great blast of dust and debris knocks you off balance as it is sucked out of the cavern by the whirlwind, now raging directly above. The turmoil soon subsides, but as you drag yourself to your feet, you notice that you're not alone. And then we have to deal with this. And then we fall asleep. We always end up here, so... It seems all paths lead to this page here, 132. And that is just death. That we can't do unless we choose divination. I don't really want to. So... we use a bow, because that reduces his HP by 3. Sure. Alright. Good start. Bad. 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 That's all we can do at this point. Just keep save scumming this. Well, not saves coming. We are actually starting from the beginning. But after we beat that battle, we'll just have to make a hard save. Like... No, wait. Yeah, we'll stick with these. I don't have much time left, so I've only got like 10 minutes, and then I gotta go. Let's see if we can just get past this one battle. That will be progress next time. So it doesn't matter which way we go here, so we can go in by the stones. There's no point taking the rod. That is not an option for us at all. Alright. Boom, boom. We're dead. Terrible start. Oh my god. Alright, let's just... Um... Alright, so literally there was no decision really up until this page here. Like, everything is just the same clicks every time. And nothing can really change except for maybe how much money I roll or whatever. We'll always have full health here as well because there were enough pages that even if we get hurt a lot in the first page, we'll still heal fully. So, with that in mind, let's make a save right here so that I can just start at this combat each time. Because otherwise it's literally just clicking through those things again. Where is... yeah, save. Fortunately, it looks like we're going to have to save scum this book. Alright. All we can really do is keep trying this battle. This is as good as we can get it. He's on 37 health. Alright. Wow, we win. What are we on? We're on 1 HP. Alright, let's make a save here. Alright. Continue the adventure. You back away from the dead giant's body, your weapon held ready to continue the fight should the remaining Yuako thirst for revenge. But they seem unmoved by their champion's death and show no desire to avenge it. The leader regards you with a cold smile of approval, for you have triumphed honorably in single combat, and by doing so earned his admiration. He holds you with his eyes and projects a psychic message using a mind language you can understand. Well, why didn't you do that before? We are the Yuako, he says telepathically. We are the lords of Yanis, the shining city, and masters of the Abaxial of Chenos. Come, esteemed warrior. I invite you to join us. Come to Yanis, where you will enjoy the rewards of the brave. He beckons you to accompany him to his dragon mount. At first you hesitate, fearful of their intentions, but the thought of being left marooned in this inhospitable wilderness soon persuades you to accept the Yuako's invitation. With a mighty screech, the dragon mounts take to the air in unison, the beat of their great wings filling your ears with a thunderous drumming noise. Your stomach heaves as the leader tugs at the reins, sending the beast laboring steeply into the fire-orange sky. The ground below falls away at an alarming rate, and within minutes you are traveling hundreds of feet above the plateau, your vision blurred by the speed of the rushing wind. Beneath you, the trackless waste stretches away to the burning horizon. Without sun or moon or any change in the brightness of the sky, you find it impossible to gauge the passage of time. Twice you lapse into sleep, for how long you cannot guess, yet each time you wake, the arrow-shaped flight formation of the dragon mounts remains unchanged, and the Yuako themselves show not the slightest sign of fatigue. At length, the featureless wastes give way to thick, violet-coloured grasslands, dotted with scab-like patches of marsh and bog. The air becomes humid, and the faint smell of rotting vegetation conjures up memories of time spent in the Danag. Gradually, the lowlands rise, and you soar above high valleys and rock-strewn meadows, broken hills, and weather-worn crags. As you approach a narrow cleft between two mountainous peaks, the leader raises his hand. Upon this signal, the others close into single file. An immense crater lies beyond the pass, and at its heart stands a city, the most beautiful city you have ever seen. Well, if it's beautiful, then maybe we can make the music a bit more uplifting. The shining city of Yanis lies before you, rising in circular levels around a turreted citadel of sparkling crystal which dominates the vast alien metropolis. Constructed out of sheeted platinum, silver glass, and mirrored steel, it reflects the light in 1,000 colors from its walls, windows, and huge conical towers, giving it the appearance and splendor of a glowing sun. As the Dragon Mount glides over the outer walls, you feast your eyes upon a network of broad avenues lined with fragrant, tree-like plants, squares with fountains, and huge silver bell-shaped dwellings. Directly ahead stands the citadel. The leader signals once more, and together the Yuakor land their winged steeds upon a grassy platform adjacent to one of the citadel's 5 circular watchtowers. There you are met with Yuakor guards, resplendent in armor of burnished silver, who attend to the dragon mounts with dutiful efficiency. The leader helps you dismount before dismissing his company and escorting you to a room in the watchtower. You will rest here, he says, using only his mind. I shall take word to the beholder, and he shall speak with you. Refresh yourself and sleep if you wish. He motions towards an adjoining room and then turns and leaves, the door closing behind him, seemingly of its own accord. Wait, so he's telling us to sleep in the adjoining room? Or... What did he... Why did he motion towards the adjoining room? What's the adjoining... Okay, fine. We'll investigate the adjoining room. Warily, you enter the room. Warily, you enter the room, noting that in spite of a lack of windows and torches, it is bathed in a warm amber light. The opalescent glow pours from the walls themselves, illuminating a table set with colorful food and a huge cushioned divan standing beside it. The oversized Yuakor furniture makes you feel like a small child exploring a dining chamber for adults, but your hunger soon quells your unease and entices you towards the table. You are very hungry after your long flight to Yanis and must now eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. Alright, we do have curing. Your Kai sense tells you that the food is untainted. You cannot identify any of the meats, vegetables, or fruits, but you sense that they are especially nutritious. Fine, we'll eat it. The food has a taste and texture completely unlike anything you have tried before, yet it is delicious, and after having eaten your fill, you feel thoroughly refreshed and fortified. There is enough food remaining for 1 meal. Sure, we'll keep the meal. Cannot get more backpack items. Oh. Drop a meal, because meals are actually useless. Mostly useless. There may be... Well, I mean, given that this is foreign lands, there may be places we can't really hunt. But we'll take the Yuakor meal. Alright. You return to the first room and peer out of a tall window that looks out over the city. Far below, you can see the Yuakor crowding an avenue which leads to an outer level of Yanis. They move with such purposefulness that from this great height they resemble a vast community of worker ants. For several hours you stare down at this beautiful alien city and its industrious citizens while you try to make sense of your situation. Eventually you resolve to find out all you can from the one the leader called the Beholder. Perhaps he will be able to help you locate the Lore Stones and find a way back to Magnamund. At length you settle down to sleep. Alright, I've got to stop. We're waking up from a sleep, so that's a good time to pause, I think. Alright, well, things are looking better. That first boss fight was kind of dumb, but we got past it, and we've save scummed, and we're at 12 health. That's as good as we can get, really. So, we can start from there next time. Alright. Make a save. Alright. We will continue next time. We don't have a map to look at. I wonder where we'll pop back into reality. If we ever do. Look at all these places down here. They're so far away. It would take months, maybe even years, to even journey down here. Although, I mean, if we take a skyship, maybe it's not too bad, but... Saudi Desert, not the Saudi Desert. Lunalia. Alright. See you next time, Lone Wolf.